Are back. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Thursday. We're getting there, people. We're about 3 days and change away from the big game. And joining us right now from Arizona, we just keep it rolling from Heavy on Sports, senior NFL reporter. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Lombardo NFL. There, that's a real cactus. Unlike Sealski,
look at that thing, man.
Who mailed it in with some phony cactus. Lombo brings a real one with him. Good work out of you, Lombo.
Guys, I always bring the A game for Gunner and Rob. I mean,
That's
how can
right.
you not? And when you stumble into this sort of a backdrop, you got to use it as often as you can.
Is that your hotel, man? That place is phenomenal.
It sure is. When you book ahead and you don't rely on the NFL, you find some diamonds in the rough.
My man.
Hey, I will tell you this. Don't lean back too far because I've been stuck by one of those things. You don't want to get stuck by that thing behind you.
Optical illusion, Gunner. Believe me. I did the step off to make sure that I would be okay.
Always
How
prepared.
you guys doing back east?
We're doing great, man. Lombo, you've been out there. Correct me if I'm wrong. When did you get there? Sunday or Monday?
Yeah.
When did you get it? Okay.
Yeah, flew in Sunday morning, kind of like to ease into the week, man. You come off of Mobile, and that's just a marathon for your liver, trying to do the whole networking thing late at night, roll into Super Bowl week. You got to sit by the pool for a couple hours and kind of ease into the workload of this week, especially with the Eagles and Chiefs coming into town.
All right, give us the best meal / craziest thing that you've seen, biggest celebrity site, whatever. Give us a little feel for Glendale, Phoenix area, Scottsdale.
I'll bring it back home. A little bit of Philadelphia for you. Last night I was rolling with our good pal Joe Stazak, smoking cigars in Scottsdale. Went to a steakhouse.
Oh, the Sun Twins are
for
back.
Burgers and mac and cheese. Sun Twins in the Valley to the Sun. There might be a reunion happening later today.
Okay.
A pop-up shop, if you will. So
I like it.
A Sun Twin reunion was a lot of fun, and media night is always a circus. I mean, when you pack 15,000 fans into a hockey arena to watch players get interviewed and ask crazy questions, that basically sums up Super Bowl week in a nutshell.
And Matt, when you get there early in a week and you hit the ground running, man, and you're running like nonstop, doesn't it feel good when it gets to the latter part of the week, you get to breathe a little bit and enjoy the ambiance around you?
Yeah, you know what? I enjoyed it going in, Gunner, because due to a bit of a credentialing snafu, I'm actually flying back on a red eye tonight. I'm not even staying for the game, so I wanted to ease in and enjoy the enjoyment before the game. So we're out here covering everything leading into the game, talking to the folks on the ground here, and we will be back home in the football headquarters for Super Bowl Sunday.
Interesting. All right, Matt. So in looking at this, you have the experience from a coaching standpoint, the experience of Andy Reid. You know, a bit of a neophyte, if you will, for Nick Sirianni, despite having a great year. And the unbelievable, 28-4 coming off a bye week for Andy as well. How great an advantage is the coaching aspect of this thing in terms of experience in your estimation?
I think it levels the playing field a little bit in a really interesting way, right? Because we all know how good Andy Reid is coming off the bye, and a lot of what Andy Reid does well comes down to preparation. But, you know, you look at Andy Reid's history, and we saw it in the fourth quarter of that AFC Championship game, a little bit conservative in big spots in big games. You saw it when they punted the ball with 2 minutes left, gave the ball back to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. It wound up working out because Chris Jones wrecked the game. But I think that helps what Andy Reid does really well. But what Nick Sirianni does well is he's so hyper-aggressive. He's so analytics-driven. And even the fourth down play call against the Giants, it wasn't just going for it on fourth down. They aired it out, and they went 39 yards down the field on that deep ball. I don't know that the week off helps or hurts anybody, other than maybe it gives Andy Reid the extra chance to whip up something special and unique for the Eagles because he's so good after the bye. But I don't look at this as a coaching mismatch because of what Nick Sirianni does so well has powered success in this modern game.
In the time you've been there this week, what's your favorite story that you've done this week?
You know, it was actually my role was really transitioned to a lot of like on camera and digital video type of stuff. But I had a 6-minute sit down with Sal Paolantonio, and we talked a lot about how this game. He said it, which I thought was really interesting. It's the Super Bowl of Jalen Hurts. That his legacy in a lot of ways is going to be defined by how he performs in this game because you only get one crack at your first Super Bowl. And I thought that was pretty interesting because Patrick Mahomes, I think, is already destined for the Hall of Fame. And if you put 2 rings on your finger, that solidifies that legacy. He's probably the MVP this year. And Jalen Hurts has a long career in front of him. And I think the way that he plays this game, sorry, something must be burning down.
You're about to get locked up.
Are you sure? Are you sure they're not coming
better make
for
a
you?
run for it, man. They're coming for you.
2 fire trucks are rolling by.
Okay. I was going to say Gunner's got the bail money in case you're in trouble, man. But anyway.
I hope you know. I was wondering why you're getting out of town so soon. Maybe they got you before you got out of town.
They did. But I thought the point that Sal made was really interesting in that this is Jalen's first time at the first Super Bowl, and that's where you really make your mark. But I think if you look at the trajectory ahead of Jalen Hurts, guys, I watched Jalen Hurts, and I think that he plays the game above the shoulders in a way that's very similar to Peyton Manning. And I think I might have said this on your show previously. Yeah. I think he's we're going to look up in 5 or 10 years and look at him as a more mobile version of Peyton Manning because of all they ask him to do, getting all the run fits situated before the snap, reading defenses pre-snap, evaluating all of those things, the audibles. I really think that Jalen Hurts has the chance to launch his career on Sunday night on a national level because in Philadelphia, people get it. And people who watch the sport get it. But if he beats Patrick Mahomes, that elevates him into that stratosphere alongside Mahomes and Joe Burrow and the impending exits of the Aaron Rodgerses of the world. I think this really has the chance to be an early career-defining moment for Jalen Hurts.
Matt, you bring up a good point. Like, we've seen it all year. We saw it even the last couple of years with him, just how dialed in, mature, insanely mature this guy is for his age. But has this been kind of a coming out party nationally where everybody's saying, like, damn, this dude's impressive, man?
I think it's building towards that, Rob. I think that if he wins this game on Sunday and beats the Kansas City Chiefs, look, I think the Eagles are the deeper team, but they're not playing the Pittsburgh Steelers of this year, right? They're not playing the turmoil-ridden Las Vegas Raiders. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs are a damn good football team, and they survived the gauntlet of going through a conference that included the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals and to a slightly lesser degree the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got through the gauntlet. So if you go out and you do that on this stage against that team, that's how I think Jalen Hurts becomes that quote-unquote household name and that face of the league. And I think you'll see him more front and center in coming years if they can get this done on Sunday.
I saw your interview with Sal, and I listened to all the pundits talk about what this is to Jalen Hurts. Do you think too much onus has been being put on his shoulders in his first Super Bowl appearance in some ways?
I don't, Gunner, only because from my conversations with him and people around him, I think he gets it. And, I go back to my conversation I had with Jim Nagy, the director of the Senior Bowl, back in late September, early October. And he kind of told the narrative of they had him in Mobile for a week, and he was okay. He was average. Flew to watch him throw at the combine, much better there. Watched him in Eagles training camp after he got drafted, significantly better from the combine. And we've watched Jalen Hurts get better and better and better each week. I think he has this mentality of constantly trying to better himself every single day. I think he does a really nice job of blocking out the noise, positive and negative. Seems very even-keeled, very business-like, very workman-like. I think the team has kind of adopted that mentality. So I maybe I'm wrong about this, but I just don't get the sense that Jalen Hurts is going to be rattled by the stage or the build up to this game. I think he gets it. I think he has the tools to handle it. I think he's going to have a pretty good game if he's fully healthy.
Yeah. Listen, I'm with you. And I feel like I think we're going to see some kind of bust out A.J. Brown kind of game, Matt. He's been – some of it was, I know Jalen missed him on a couple, and, maybe he wasn't quite at his peak in the Giants game. He was a little bit banged up. I feel like this is going to be a big A.J. Brown day. Do you get that same sense?
I do, because it's been the Devonta Smith show during the playoffs. I think this is the week that A.J. Brown puts on a show, and it's a big stage, and A.J. Brown is a big stage type of player. I think that he matches up well against that secondary, and I think the Eagles are going to test them especially early in the same way that they tested the Giants with Smith on the other side.
It's funny. All this week, we've talked so much about the big elements of this game for the Eagles, from the coaching staff, the quarterback, the receivers. We haven't talked much about Miles Sanders in terms of this could be his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle, and how it could put the signature moment on his money that's upcoming. 1,000-yard rusher. He overcame the stigma of not being able to stay healthy, not being able to be durable. And if he shines in this game on a national stage, this could put him in a financial position that even he probably didn't even think he could get at this point.
For sure. And you look at some of the running back needy teams around the league, the Buffalo Bills could easily come knocking, and Miles Sanders could very easily be in a situation to play for another Super Bowl appearance next year. I think they will be a great fit. You know, the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel's offense, I think what they ask their running backs to do, Miles Sanders does pretty well as well. He could certainly juice the market a little bit if he had busts out for 100 yards and 2 scores, which I think is reasonable.
Yeah, the running back thing is so fascinating in that league, Matt. I mean, where you draft guys, B. John Robinson coming out of Texas, how much do you pay these guys? Like, I don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that Miles doesn't come back. I think the Eagles will let him play the field and see what's out there, because I don't know the teams anymore are willing to, like, they all regretted the Ezekiel Elliott signing. Even we see how effective McCaffrey can be, but you know, for Carolina, that hurt them badly cap-wise.
That's why they had to trade him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they had to unload him because of the deal, and they needed to rebuild. And you know, I'll go a step further here. We all talk about running backs. I'm starting to get the sense, just talking to people, that the NFL, the economics of the NFL are kind of out of whack when it comes to quarterbacks. Because when you look at the teams that win Super Bowls, dating back, I think it's the year 2000, if Patrick Mahomes wins, he'll be the first quarterback to account for more than 15% of his team's salary cap to win the Super Bowl. Nick Foles and Carson Wentz, rookie deals. Russell Wilson won it on a rookie deal. Tom Brady always took less money. He was cheap. And even last year with Matthew Stafford, didn't reach that 15% threshold. So once you pay a quarterback, all of a sudden you can't build the kind of super team and depth of a roster that the Eagles have. I think that might be the conversation that's coming down the pike, especially if Mahomes and the Chiefs don't get this done on Sunday.
What do you think the national scuttlebutt is there so far? I mean, of the people you've talked to about which way they're leaning in this game, who they like in this game, and in certain scenarios to see itself play out in this game.
Yeah, you know, Gunnar, there have been a few whispers of people thinking that the Cincinnati Bengals should be here, that the Bengals would be a better game. And, you know, I've come on the show, you know how high I am on Joe Burrow and how I think that ceiling is for that franchise in the next couple of years. But I don't know that I buy into that. I think the Chiefs certainly did what they needed to do to get here. I think that the national narrative about them, you know, kind of not belonging in this game, if that's even a thing, I think that's kind of wrong. There's a lot of talk about how the Eagles are as deep as it gets. A lot of, you know, kudos to Howie Roseman are being thrown around in conversation, and deservedly so. I think he's going to be the runaway executive of the year winner. But I think this is going to be one of these games where they match up really well, strength on strength at almost every position. And I don't get the sense this is going to be a blowout, guys. I heard you, Gunnar, talking about how people have come on your show and predicted double-digit wins for the Eagles, double-digit point wins for the Eagles. Yeah. I don't see it that way at all. I think this is going to be one of those instant classic type of Super Bowls that people are going to be talking about for years to come.
I agree with you, Matt. I think this thing comes down to the wire, by the way. It feels like, to me at least, the Eagles could live off of maybe not an A game from Jalen Hurts, but Kansas City cannot not get double negative there for you, an A game from Patrick Mahomes. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do, actually, because the Eagles have done it. I don't think that Jalen Hurts was at his best against the Giants, and they didn't need him to be. And certainly against that defense in the San Francisco 49ers, I didn't get the sense that the Eagles put the game on his shoulders at all. And to his credit, Jalen still made 2 or 3 big runs in the fourth quarter to get that insurance touchdown and put the game on ice. So he did what he needed to do. You know, you look at how the Chiefs got here, conversely, in that championship game. Patrick Mahomes took that game over in the final 5 or 6 minutes of the game, both with his legs and manipulating the pocket on a bad ankle. I mean, I keep going back to the touchdown pass to Marcus Valdes-Scantling in an insanely tight window. The Chiefs need Patrick Mahomes to be the magician. They need Mahomes' magic to win this Super Bowl, where I don't think the Eagles, with as many weapons as they have, as dominant as that offensive line is, as efficient as they are in the ground game, I don't think the Eagles need to put the game on Jalen Hurts' shoulders.
Where does Andy Reid rank for you, Matt? And I'm talking like all-timer here. I mean, and how much would another ring cement, you know, his place as one of the greats if he's not already there in your estimation?
Yeah, Rob, I talked about this on my podcast last week. I think that with a win, not only does he cement his place as the second most influential, maybe the most influential coach of his generation, the second best coach of his generation, and all time, if you get another Super Bowl ring with another franchise, I think Andy Reid locks himself into that top 5 conversation because people want to talk about Chuck Noll and Tom Landry. They did it in an era where there wasn't a salary cap. They did it in an era where there wasn't free agency, where you could keep these super teams together for 5, 6, 7 years. And Andy Reid built 2 franchises basically from the ground up in an era where you have free agency and player movement, and it's so tough to evaluate. He found 2 franchise quarterbacks, right? He took Donovan McNabb to 4 NFC championship games at a Super Bowl, identified Donovan McNabb in what was supposed to be this great quarterback class that didn't develop. And he identified Patrick Mahomes. And you look at the tree or the cactus, if you will, behind me. Ron Rivera goes to a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh wins a Super Bowl. Doug Peterson wins a Super Bowl. The tree, I think, is what cements Andy Reid in that conversation with Lombardi, Belichick, Walsh, and Shula. You put him next on that list.
And I think it's also imperative that we recognize the fact that Andy goes to another franchise and in 10 years has yet to have a losing season. And he still has the ability to get the most out of these players. Even at the age of 65, he still has a way to relate to these players. These players still gravitate towards him, And there's, when you get younger players and older coaches, there's always that imaginary divide. You know what I mean? Of the old
Patrick
school.
Patrick Mahomes wanted to buy fake mustaches to have players wear them coming off the planes because of the commercial they do together, and not enough guys bought in. But the fact that they're even having that conversation about Andy Reid at this stage of his career, at this age, I think that's telling about the kind of coach that he is.
The fact that Andy Reid is doing commercials, he never did that stuff before. Now he's really opened up in the twilight of his career.
He's a little looser now, you got to love that, Matt. But I think he's just so innovative too, and he's been so willing to not just be stuck in and set in his ways. Like, I've had success, so I'm going to do it my way. He is an adaptable guy, man, and I think that's his greatest trait.
Yeah, I do too. And, you look at they're not afraid to run a lot of RPOs that they might not have ran back when he was having success with the Eagles and it was a strictly West Coast offense. Evolves, changes, builds systems around his quarterbacks and his players. I'm with you. If you look at the accomplishments, the rings, the influence, and the innovativeness, I think I just made up a word there. It puts Andy Reid in the conversation of, at least in my opinion, a top 5 to ever do it.
Hey, I want to ask you something away from the Eagles and the Chiefs Super Bowl. Story that came out recently is that the executive director of the NFLPA, DeMar Smith, says he would like to see the combine done away with. How do you feel about that? And has there been any talk about that? And I think it's interesting that it's coming up now.
Yeah, Gunnar, I know that agents don't particularly love the combine. And I know especially the COVID year where there were the restrictions on who could get access to the players and what they could eat. I think that was a big issue. It's interesting because I think that there's a lot of value in the interview settings. There's a lot of value, especially in a central hub for all of the medical exams that get distributed to all 32 teams. But if you walked up to me at this bar and you said, hey, what do you think about the idea of them doing away with the drills, that in a couple of years there's going to be no more on-field combine drills? I can see it. I don't think the NFL will acquiesce because that's hours and hours of replay programming for NFL Network. But I could see where the NFLPA and the agents get behind the idea of no more on-field workouts, no more on-field testing, and you just go off of pro days, which are more favorable for these players anyway, and film. We're going off of film. I mean, you talk to scouts, and scouts get more value out of their evaluations of watching these guys play football than they do running the 40-yard dash or the three-cone drill.
By the way, how about the story, just kind of jumping around a little bit, but remember last week, Jerry Jones talked about how, the Eagles were one of those teams like the Rams that just went all in and they didn't care. They're going to spend, they're going to do everything it takes. They'll pay you the price. How about the story that Jeffrey Lurie called Jimmy Johnson? Like, dude, what is he talking about? How is he lumping us in? Did you guys see this one? It just tells you how out of touch and clueless Jerry Jones is. And it's no wonder the franchise is run the way it's run. Speaking of NFL things.
Yeah, I didn't see that story, Rob, but if he picked up the phone and called, run that by me again, that he tried to lump the Eagles in with teams.
Jerry Jones, a couple of weeks back, said basically we've seen teams just kind of push all in without thinking about the future, like the Rams and the Eagles. So he lumped the Eagles in with them.
I don't get that at all because, I mean, you look at how they've built their offensive line. They invest in the offensive line every year. You know, Landon Dickerson, you know, all these guys they draft to have plug and play if an injury hits, and they get them cheap in the second or third round. They've built through the draft, and then they had the opportunity with the cap space to go out and get a Kazir White who fits Jonathan Gannon's system. They picked James Bradbury off the scrap heap. They trade for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You know, I don't get the sense that it's all in. I think they recognize that they had a window here before Jalen gets expensive. They realized they needed to get the kind of players that fit Gannon's scheme, and they went out and got them. And look, if you survey the rest of the NFC, even if they have to lose some pieces due to salary cap issues this offseason, look around the rest of the NFC. Tom Brady's gone, right? You know, the Rams have real roster issues that they're paying for. The Saints are in cap hell. It's finally catching up to them all the years of kicking the can down the road. Even if the roster takes a step back from a star power standpoint, if they have Jalen Hurts, it's them and who? The Cowboys and Dak? You know, the Niners need to figure out their quarterback situation. I think the Eagles have a window here as long as they have Jalen. Even if they take a step back. So I don't get the sense they went all in at all. I think that's kind of silly.
Absolutely. All right, Matt, who wins the game, man? What's the final?
Yeah, I have the Eagles in this one, and I'm with you, Rob. I think it's tight. It comes down to the wire, and I could see something like a Jake Elliott 38-yard walk-off to win in 27-26.
I'm with you. All right, brother.
Nice.
Listen, enjoy. Great setting. We like the effort right there with your cactus. Have fun, man, for the rest of the time you have there. I know you're getting out of there pretty quickly, but have fun, Matt. We appreciate it.
Safe travels back, man.
Yeah, and I suggest everybody check out Matt's work. Heavy on sports, senior NFL reporter. He does an awesome job, man. Anything else you want to plug for us on the way out, Matt?
Yeah, check out the Matt Lombardo Show. Check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We have a lot of fun with that. We have some big-time guests coming out of here over the next couple of weeks, so that's been a lot of fun. Just like this conversation with you guys is always a lot of fun.
Perfect.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Safe trip back. Thanks. All right, take care. That was good setting right there. That's what we like, Gunner. We like the cactus. We like the the vibe, if you will. We got to get Barrett out and about. I think tomorrow. How about we do this tomorrow?
What's that?
We're just brainstorming. We're spitballing.
Okay.
Barrett does the entire show walking around and see what we can stumble into. How's that? Just outside, not in his hotel, man.
It's a great idea. You know Barrett ain't walking outside for 3 hours. Do you know that's not happening?
How about one segment he does that?
I would like to see him do it one segment. Only if he's – now, he said his hotel is downtown, so he's right there in the heart of where everything is going.
Yeah.
If he was out in Scottsdale, you don't get a flavor for it because everybody's so spread out. But because he's downtown,